All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you from Lakers Fast Break. Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all our shows. And if you can, please give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. Plus, if you can like, share, subscribe, follow, or do anything that you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break and our new network that we're so happy to be proud of and so happy to be a part of in the Hoop Heads Podcast Network. That's the Hoop Heads Podcast Network. It is truly appreciated. But I'll tell you what, a fun game today, although kind of upset at the Lakers a little bit for blowing a 10 and 15-point lead at various times throughout the ball game. But 38 points from LeBron James, a really stellar performance. MVP-like perhaps, getting back into the top possibly with the injury to Joel Embiid. So we'll see what happens there because if it flops between Damian Lillard scoring 50, Nikola Jokic getting triple-doubles, obviously, like I said, Joel Embiid when he's healthy and in the game, but that's the problem. He's not healthy in the game right now. Then you hear James Harden. You hear a whole bunch of other players. Antetokounmpo has a great game last night against Philadelphia. So nice to see LeBron putting his stamp on the MVP race with a 38-point performance. And I think he was a little bit frustrated. You could tell during the course of the game because of the fact that, again, they not only gave up one big lead of double digits, they gave up two big leads of double digits. So that's not exactly going to warm him over. But I will tell you this, that the Lakers did come out ultimately on top. They did pull away 116-105 over the Charlotte Hornets and a very impressive LaMelo Ball. And here today with a big smile on his face, and not just because of the Lakers. And
UCLA.
Well, sorry, I can't do that. Fight on Trojans. But anyway, at least, with the USC, we didn't have to go into a playing game this year. Yeah, but then again, who has more national championships? I know you could rub that in my face. But anyways, like I said, he's here because, you know why? He's a happy man because he gets to rub it in on Sean, a.k.a. Magic Man, and LRob. It is the man behind Lakerholics.com. We truly appreciate him being part of what's going on. When it comes to Lakerholics.com, be part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.com. It is LakerTom. And LakerTom, again, Lakers pulled away. That's nice. LeBron James, great performance. That's nice. But you got to be a little bit concerned about the lack of focus at times because they took off their foot off the pedal, not once, but twice.
Well, I don't know. I'm not really concerned about it, Gerald. I thought that we were in control most of the game, even though the Hornets had a couple of little spurts to come back. They never really could get the lead again, other than that 3-point lead that they had early in the game. And I think that I think I give more credit to the Hornets for coming out after the halftime. They came out and practically wiped out that lead, and we built up another one. They came back out again. And it's the same problem that you have when the Lakers get behind, as every team does, which is it takes so much energy out of you just to catch up that sometimes you just run out of gas at that point in time and the other team pulls away. And that's what happened with the Lakers there. Some great play by LeBron. I mean, after being the playmaker for a couple of games and posting those triple doubles, we saw LeBron, the scorer, come out today and firing away from three, attacking the basket. Sometimes a little more isolation than I really like. But all in all, it was good to see Caruso get back on the floor, so we weren't quite as shorthanded. Alex was obviously a little rusty on the shots. I couldn't believe the layups that both guys on both teams missed. Trez was just shaking his head by the end of the game, and then the one that Gordon missed, I couldn't believe. That was just
with Trez, he's just been so efficient lately in the past 3 games. You knew the basketball gods were going to say, you know what? I know you shoot
dunk
normally
it, Trez, dunk it, man, is what the basketball gods are saying.
I know you normally shoot 60% plus, and I know you've been shooting 73% plus in the past 3 games, but you know what? We're going to have to go ahead and slow you down. Like you said, you should have dunked the ball. But again, they were missing a lot of bunnies. Caruso could have had a couple and ones, and it just it's concentration sometimes. I don't know what's going on, but again, it's still kind of upset when we go into the lane and we're not looking at the basket when we have those layups brought to us. And we're always scoring ahead. Analytics, passing out for three-pointers. That still happened today. Kind of irritated me. But
yeah, KCP threw one when he was actually right at the
that's
rim.
exactly what I'm talking about. That was so irritating.
I don't mind those when the three goes in, but
no, I don't mind. I do
hate
mind
it
those.
When the three is missed, and then it definitely is a killer.
I mind when the three, even when they take the three, even if they
But
make the three.
We won this game with the 3-point shooting tonight.
I understand that, my friend, but when you have the easy basket, what do you tell your kids? What do you tell your players when you're a coach? You're a coach.
Take that basket. You take the basket when they give you.
Exactly.
Good offense takes what the defense gives you, and if the defense gives you a layup, you take that layup. Unless you're down 3 at the end of the game.
Of course. But right in the second quarter when he did that,
right.
It's just like, makes you scratch your head. But again, the Lakers seemingly had, whenever they wanted, they could just put their foot to the floor, the pedal to the metal, and just move out and distance themselves from the team. They just took that foot off the gas. It's kind of irritating to see that they had this win in control the whole game, and they chose those points in time to go ahead and rubber band them back.
They didn't do it on purpose, man. You got to get that out of your mind.
It's the NBA, and I understand that. It's a
human
rubber
nature.
band
It's human nature.
You've got to run. I've got to run. You've got to run. I've got to run. But I could just see the way LeBron acts. I could see the way he was irritated by it. That's the problem that gets me because, at 36 and 18 years in the league, you don't have LeBron.
It's like the last game. LeBron took off a lot of defensive plays the last game. Tonight he didn't.
Yeah,
he paces himself. He paces himself during the game. You can tell that. And
I think he also wanted to go ahead and send a message today to Mr. LaMelo Ball.
Well, I think he saw the opportunity. We knew that Utah lost later.
Yes.
And then we knew the Suns were in trouble.
Wow.
Perfect opportunity for the Lakers to move up in the standings and for the team to continue to show that 4 wins in a row now, starting off the second half of the season.
Yeah.
The team is learning to play without Anthony Davis.
I want to ask you this.
And in the long run, I think that's going to be a huge benefit for them.
I want to ask you this. Dennis Schroeder, 22 points. Not the greatest of shooting days, but still very effective, aggressive in the half court. I want to hear your thoughts on Dennis Schroeder and how he played today. Again, like you said, the Lakers pulled it out. Great win. With Utah and Phoenix losing, they're now a game and a half behind. They've moved up second place overall in the NBA, a game and a half behind Utah. But again, how did Schroeder – I mean, overall, his game to me, again, is so aggressive, and that's what I like to see.
Well, he's probably one of the quickest guys in the league and fastest guys in the league going to the rim. And sometimes he gets out of control. I mean, sometimes these speed players do that. Tonight, he also hit a couple of threes, which is great because that's the weak point in his game. He played some good defense. There was an interesting quotes from Woj today about the Lakers trade deadline exploits, and he was really saying that one of the things that looks like it may be happening is the Lakers have not given that extension to Dennis, and the reason apparently is because Dennis wants to be wants more than $20 million, and the Lakers really can't give that to him at this point in time, which means that he's going to wait till summer. That opens up the door for possibly trading him, because if we aren't going to pay $25 million for him in the middle of summer, then we may well trade him.
Yeah.
Then Woj also brought up this whole subject of the fact that the Lakers would like to open up money for THT, for Schroeder if he's going to get an extension, and maybe even for Harrell. So you end up with a situation where there's a lot of talk that the Lakers might even be looking to trade for somebody on an expiring contract. That opens up all sorts of opportunities, one of which is Andre Drummond. They've got, between KCP and Harrell, you've got $21 million that can bring back $26 million.
But there's also the possibility he will come here on a buyout anyways. So why would you want to go to the process of a trade? I'm just bringing that to you, a scenario.
Well, the reasoning behind that is, number one, you make sure that he doesn't go to the Nets, which is as much a possibility as the Lakers. And number two, you get some financial flexibility with it because you don't have those contracts going forward, so that you can spend the money on THT. You can spend the money on Schroeder, for example, if you were to trade KCP and Harrell, because we probably aren't going to be able to keep Harrell, especially if he plays this well the second half. And then there's the third thing, which is you get his bird rights. And that's one of the reasons why he's hesitant to do a buyout, because if there's a buyout, he loses his bird rights. And that means that teams aren't going to be able to go over the cap. So any team he's traded to, for example, can go over the cap to sign him as a free agent when the next summer, because they have his bird rights. So there's a lot of reasons there. It's kind of interesting because it's the Lakers. Jeannie Buss says, hey, no problem. So, luxury tax, we'll pay it. Except then she's turning to Rob Pelinka, and Pelinka's got to figure out, okay, we may have $100 million luxury tax if we sign Schroeder. We've got KCP's raise coming in next year. We got Kuzma's raise coming in next year. We got THC. We got Alex Caruso that we want to keep. We've got to spend money for them. And so these are the types of things that the teams have to work out, because it's a combination of winning a championship, keeping your options open so that you can make moves. There's a lot of other good free agents out there this summer. Yeah. So looking for an expiring contract like, Otto Porter Jr. or Drummond, those are opportunities that the Lakers might decide it's better off for them in the long run financially. Drummond is an interesting case because I've never been a big fan of his. I've always felt that he was a difficult fit on the Lakers because he doesn't play the kind of defense that we played last year in the playoffs. But on the other hand, he is a shot blocker. He is a great rebounder, and he scores 17 points a game. And he gives size that is pretty intimidating. Something
that I listened to the Woj pod as well, and they were stressing the fact. They were stressing the fact that one of the things that is missing is that size, that intimidation factor that we saw. I know you were not exactly the biggest fans of Dwight Howard and also JaVale McGee. Okay, I get that. And if you're just listening to us now, if you just joined us on the Hoop Heads Network,
no, it's because I don't think they offer anything on offense that Drummond offers from rebounding and scoring.
But you've not been high on the Drummond chain because Drummond, like you've also said, because on a playoff situation, just like Gobert, just like any big 7-footer that's out there, you can, except for Joel Embiid and Jokic, they're going to be paid off. They're going to be played off the floor.
So it's awful hard to play a guy off the floor if he's getting 15 rebounds and 17 points.
It just depends.
Frank Vogel might love the challenge of having that size again. See, that's the problem with Drummond is theoretically he could score enough at the other end to keep from getting played off of the floor. Whereas he's not going to be a guy who can do the switching, rotating defense that we used with Morris and AD last year in the playoffs. It was so successful. But there also are teams where, you go up against Joker, you go up against Embiid. Those are the guys. He's the kind of player who can really give them trouble just because of his 280 pounds and his height.
Well, I'll tell you this: if they are able in the buyout situation to get both Drummond and
if they get Drummond in the buyout situation, that's the best of all. Better than trading for him, in my opinion.
Yeah, but if they get him,
even though there's some options, even though you get a couple of options that are advantageous, you free up cap space.
Yeah, I know.
To get Caruso and THT and Schroeder, and you get bird rights with him on a trade.
Right, and I get that, and I understand that, but the most likely scenario, because they're not going to be able to go ahead, it's going to be a hard deal for them, as far as going ahead with Drummond. Because he's got such a high price tag, but he is 27 years old. I want to stress that.
Yeah.
The reason that makes him more attractive than virtually all the potential buyout candidates that are out there is because he's not at the tail end of his career.
No.
And also, if they were to get him and Otto Porter, if they were able to get both on a buyout, if both become available on that, I think that would be truly awesome.
I think both are possibly trade asks. If Woj is right about the Lakers wanting to open up flexibility for their free agents, those are the two guys who are the most attractive expiring contracts to trade for.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens, my friend, with that, and we'll talk more about that in the coming days because it is a week from today when the NBA trade deadline hits.
We have 3 games after the Suns game is the game. There's a game on the 24th, so anything that's going to happen is going to happen before that game on the 24th.
That's for sure.
Got 3 games before the Lakers will make a decision on the trade situation.
But once again, the Lakers did pull away in the fourth quarter, 116-105. It's becoming old hack by now that they do pull away in the fourth quarter, but we'll take the win. Again, winners of 4 in a row since the All-Star break, and now in second place overall in the NBA, a game and a half, creeping up a game and a half behind the Utah Jazz, who surprisingly lost at Washington today. I was listening to that game, and I couldn't believe it. I told my daughter, my gosh.
I watched the game.
If I told my daughter, I said, I'm here in Vegas, and if I was right now in the books, I would go ahead and bet second half on the Jazz and take all the money I can. And sure enough, they didn't do it. It was crazy they didn't get it done.
Online.
Yeah, I mean, serious. That was easy money. Now, mind you, they actually no, they didn't even make up the spread on that. So yeah. I will just say this, that it was a great game as far as from the standpoint we got to see the young and the old as far as what they're doing, as far as the playmakers and the future for the Lakers short term and the future for the Charlotte Hornets long term. I want to get your final impressions of this game today with LaMelo Ball, and how far do you think that this Charlotte Hornets team can advance with him as the main player on their roster?
Well, I think first off, it's going to be between him and Ant-Man as to who's going to be Rookie of the Year. I mean, Edwards scored 44 points tonight, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, Edwards has come on in the last couple of games. Yeah. So if he keeps on going at that he's going to get consideration. But the first 3-4 months for him were pretty scary as far as efficiency is concerned.
I think Melo is going to be the Rookie of the Year. I think he is the best choice.
Oh yeah.
I think he's going to be maybe not a player of the dimension of Luka, but he's going to be one of those guys that there's teams that are going to be regretting having not picked him at some point in time when they had an opportunity. He's an electric player. He can shoot from outside. He's got great vision of the court. He's taller than Lonzo, and he's not afraid to go to the rim. That's the big difference between him and his older brother. Lonzo's weakness is basically shooting free throws and getting to the rim. So I like Melo. I love him a lot. There's another player that I've written about too that I think is kind of interesting, which is LaMelo Ball back to the Lakers.
Oh, situation. Well, there you go. But that's going to be a harder deal because he's playing so well, and if you're going to have to go ahead and trade for him,
but they still seem to be talking. I mean, you can see the Porzingis rumors have died down and so forth, but everybody seems to feel that it's still up in the air as to whether or not Lonzo will stay.
Yeah. But again, because he is a free agent.
So here's a great situation. What happens if the Lakers are convinced that Schroeder is going to get a $25 million offer, and the Lakers don't want to use the bird rights to match $25 million for him? That's an interesting trade.
That is an interesting trade.
And you throw KCP in there, and you have a KCP and Schroeder you switch backcourts for Redick and Lonzo Ball, and the Lakers get all of that flexibility they get out of those 2 contracts. And they're looking at 2 free agents, basically. One of them a restricted free agent, and the other who they can give a qualifying offer to, and the other just a downright free agent in the case of Redick, who they'd probably let go unless they still had gas left and proved it. So it's turned into a fascinating situation for the Lakers as we head into the trade deadline, and it'll be great to see. Who knows what's going to happen?
Who knows what's going to happen indeed. But once again, I'm with LakerTom. He is the mastermind behind Lakerholics.com. Be part of the conversation today at the best fan site that's out there, Lakerholics.com. We're not only going to see his great articles there and also his Medium.com site, but also you will go ahead and check out all the great stuff that's been done by 5 great things from Admiral Akbar himself, Jamie Sweet. I wonder if he called this a trap game or not. I didn't hear too loudly from him. And then also as well, Sean Grice, a.k.a. Magic Man. All of us put out new content pretty much every single day at Lakerholics.com, the best Lakers fan site that's out there. Again, I want to go ahead and thanks so much for allowing us to be part of their platform. Thank you so much to all the new listeners that we're going to have because of it. We truly appreciate you joining us. This is the Lakers Fast Break. But before you head on out, my friend, I want you not only to give an update on what's going on with your latest articles at Lakerholics.com, but also a chance to rub some salt into the wound because you, as a UCLA alumni, got a chance to go ahead and revel in the victory over LRob's Michigan State.
Well, you know, UCLA started off the season so well, and then came just like string of close losses after close losses. They've had a good recruiting class coming in next year, and I mean, I grew up watching Dick Enberg call the 11 p.m. reruns of the UCLA Bruins games with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Bill Walton and all of those great years and so forth. And so those were really the heart of my college basketball years of enjoyment. So I still root for the Bruins every year, even though it's been a difficult, last few years. Hoping that they'll get things turned around. And so it was great to see them win that play-in game, actually now make the tournament. And once you get in there, that's the one thing about March Madness. Anything is possible.
It's just hard, though, because they're going in at a disadvantage because they have to go in with a little bit of rest. But we'll see. These are young kids, so you never know. Also, I've heard it. I also in these playing teams, I've heard it the other way around because they've already created a rhythm. So you've won once, so you're now going in a little bit more expectant of what's going to go and happen. Whereas somebody that's just been out for a week or week and a half, or sometimes up to two and a half weeks because they won their conference tournament or whatnot, you're playing up against. They're coming in real cold.
You're coming in as a very low seed, which means you're getting matched up against a pretty good team. So, that's also the huge disadvantage that they have. But listen, congratulations to the Bruins for making it. It was a great night tonight. I mean, the Suns lost, the Jazz lost, the Lakers won, and the Bruins won. I can't complain.
I can, but,
Are you SC Trojans? Did you go to SC?
I did for a cup of coffee, my friend. Almost like a cup of Starbucks coffee. But yes, I did go to USC for a little bit.
I went to USC for a little bit too.
Well, there you go. See,
but I went to UCLA last.
Well, that's your fault. Unfortunately, I'm sorry to hear that. But fight on, Trojans, fight on. But again, it is the Lakers winning. That's just why we're here. The Lakers Fast Break, 116-105. LakerTom and I are going to be back very soon. But before we head on out, you didn't tell people what you're working on at Lakerholics.com.
Well, I had an article out today that was basically looking at what I call the Lakers bench big three, which is obviously Montrezl Harrell, Kyle Kuzma, and Talen Horton-Tucker. Other than, they had 3 games in a row where they were scoring 77% more than they did in the first half of the season. Mm-hmm. And the impact on the offense of the way that we changed, we really went out and Frank Vogel, I give him credit because all year long, he's never really pushed LeBron James and Montrezl Harrell pick and rolls the way that, the reason that Harrell won the 6th Man of the Year award and averaged 20 points per game last year was the pick and rolls that Lou Will and him ran for the Clippers. And we'd never really taken advantage of giving Trez his big opportunity. And we did in the first 3 games of the season, or of the second half of the season. And that strategy opened it up. We averaged 31 assists. We went to the free throw line 30 times. And we shot 40% from the 3-point line. Tonight, for example, we went up against a team that shoots 35 threes a game, and we only shoot 30 a game. Well, we shot 39 and held them to 20.
Yeah.
And that's really the focus of what we're trying to do. We need to improve our 3-point differential because we're negative, whereas the Jazz, the Clippers, and the who am I leaving out of there?
Wait, the Nets.
The Nets are all shoot 40 threes a game. And if you shoot 10 less threes a game, you're probably going to make 3 less, which is like 9 or 10 points. And we need to be able. So it's good to see Kuzma. He'll be up over 5 threes a game now. He shot 9 tonight, hit 4 of them. But we need some volume 3-point shooting, and we need players to develop confidence. And as a coach, what I've always told the kids on my teams is basically, you can't make them if you don't take them. And the Lakers just basically need to let fly and shoot the threes with confidence. They did tonight. And that was the last little streak that pulled us ahead was really those 3-pointers that went in. LeBron also starting off the game, he put 3 threes in tonight, which was really great.
4.
4? Wow.
4 for 9.
So, that's the type of shooting that you really have to have if we're going to survive in the playoffs. Last year, we shot 30 a game, 31 a game for the season, and then we went into the playoffs and shot 34, and at a higher percentage than we did during the regular season, so we can make up some of that deficit. We didn't really kill them in the points in the paint tonight like we did the first 3 games of the second half of the season, but it's a good win. We showed some resilience in coming back. We never really let them take over the lead, and we're 4-0 now. If we can win the next couple of games, it's always interesting to see how that affects the decision makers in the Lakers front office. If you go in there 6-0 and you have Kuzma, Talen Horton-Tucker, and Montrezl Harrell playing great, as well as LeBron and other people in the starting lineup, then it takes some of that pressure off of feeling like you have to make a trade. I've been strongly in one category, which is I think that we do need to make a trade for a volume 3-point shooter and possibly a rim protector. But I'd have to say I've been also influenced by the fact of how well the bench has played the last 3 games, and then even tonight, Kuzma and THT played really well. Although THT had this little 25-second stretch where he blew 5-point lead worth of the lead, but it'll be a good call. As fans, we don't have the inside information of what's going on in the locker room, what actual negotiations are with other teams. So I do have a lot of trust in Rob Pelinka and the Lakers front office and the coaching staff to make the right decisions, and we'll see what happens with them. But I'm watching Twitter like you do every year during free agency. It's the free agency and the trade deadline are the 2 times when you really as a fan have a chance to see what's going to happen with your team and what changes could really change the dynamics of the future.
He's got Shams and Woj refreshing on Twitter right there for you every few seconds just to make sure he's got the latest news and information on the world of the NBA from the 2 guys who do it the best that's out there. But this is the Lakers Fast Break. Again, the Lakers did win 116-105. LakerTom, it's been great having you on. Again, we want to thank so much the Hoopheads Podcast Network. We are so proud. We're so happy. We're so thrilled to be part of this great network. Please support their sponsors today and also support the other tremendous podcasts that are on that network. Go ahead and check out hoopshead.com today. That's hoopheads.com. Want to go ahead and check out all the great shows that are on there, including ours, because we're now part of the Hoopheads team. Well, LakerTom, it was a great victory once again. Cannot thank you enough for being part of today's broadcast. For all you pop culture fans, I'm dropping a PCC Multiverse on the Pop Culture Cosmos channel talking about the Justice League, Falcon and Winter Soldier, and so much more. So please check that out. And once again, it is the Lakers 116-105. LakerTom and I will be back on Friday. Actually, on Saturday. We'll be back on Saturday.
Afternoon.
Afternoon game. It's going to be an afternoon game against the sizzling hot. Ow! It's so hot. It's burning. It's one hot team against the other as the Lakers against the Atlanta Hawks. We'll see that game on Saturday afternoon, and LakerTom will be on with me right afterwards. So look forward to that because the Lakers Fast Break is coming to you right after the Lakers game. That's right, the Lakers versus the Hawks. That's coming right after you, and we'll be coming on right after that right here at the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Thanks for watching, everyone.